Hello, Stuart from Upcycle TV. In this video I am going to review a paint that I've not used yet. It's called Vintage with Grace. Love the branding. Everything so far is good. It came, I ordered it online, it came quickly. The price is pretty good. I think this is about £8 for the small tin, and I expect us to get at least this piece here that I've got ready to go. So I'm going to do the review for the paint. We're also going to do a little tutorial, if you like, on what you can do with this little pine unit. It doesn't really look anything too special. It's got a little cutlery drawer here. Not really sure what it would have been used for, really. It's a bit of a funny size, but what I've done, I've got some legs, some hairpin legs. I'm going to put it on the hairpin legs, give it a good coat of paint, and see where we go from there. If we want to change it up a little bit, maybe change the handles or paint them a different colour. But it's a nice little project to do the review for this paint for. So the colour is called Portobello, which, as you can probably guess, is a nice mushroom grey. So I really like the branding that Vintage with Grace has. It's nice and simple. There's a great selection of colours. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting started and getting some paint on. As always, we're going to have to give it a wash down with sugar soap and then a light key, and then we're good to go. I picked this unit up from a little second-hand store in Swindon, from a guy called John. So I put the picture on here. If there's anyone local to Swindon, this place is always worth checking out because they've got some lovely pieces in there. Right, so sugar soap it down. When I do my sugar soap, I like to mix it really thick, much thicker than it tells you in the instructions, because that way you know it's super strong and it's going to take off all that nasty grime and dirt and residue, and sometimes layers of furniture polish, all that kind of stuff. It will take it all off. I was reading the other day, someone was advising someone to use white spirit because something had years of furniture polish, but it's not actually that, it's not necessary. And I actually found if you mix powdered sugar soap up really thick, then actually it's just as good, if not better, than white spirit for that. But I can't stress enough that you do have to mix it up thick. And lash it on as well. Make sure you get loads on there. I always like to brush it in when I'm using the sugar soap. You can actually see the dirt coming off of this. You can see where the sugar soap runoff is all like brown. So you know it's doing its job. Really mucky. But that's it. That's all there is to sugar soap. It's not difficult. Let's give it a good wipe down now, and that will be clean enough to paint. So all sugar soap down. Now I'm going to give it a going over with a sanding sponge, because all I want to do is give it a light key before I put the paint on. And that's the same for all chalk paints. So if it needs more than that, then it's a no from me. If it needs more than a light key, it's not chalk paint. Just want to give it a quick go over with the cloth again, which is still a little bit damp, just to get rid of any of the dust from that little key that we did. Okay, there's the boring bit done. Righty-ho, let's get going. So, got our paint. What I really love about some chalk paints is that you don't have to mix it before you start applying it. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case here. Let's have a look. Yeah, perfect. Good start. Well done, Vintage with Grace. We don't need to stir this paint. I hope that's the case for all the paint always. I'm sure we can get that confirmed in the comments. And let's get going. So I'm gonna, for the sake of this, use a brush just to see how it applies with a brush. Okay, I'm going to turn it on its side so that you can see what I'm painting here. Let's take these out. Oh, ha! What's that? It looks like something you put pins in. Is it like for billiards or something? Oh, I think it's some sort of game. I kind of recognise it, but I'm not sure. Yeah. An odd bonus. Wouldn't normally paint like this. It's really awkward, but I'm just trying to do it so that you can see on the video. That's a bit better. I hope we can see this okay. So what's my initial thoughts? Honest thoughts. It's great. It's going on well. You can see it's covering well for the first coat. Be interesting to see, because for this type of colour, it is quite light. It's a bit lighter than I was expecting, and often these lighter greys do take 3 or 4 coats, sometimes even more. So be interesting to see how it dries and what the kind of opacity is like once it has dried. Little drips there. But other than that, you know, which we don't know the answer to yet, it's nice. It's got a nice sort of consistency to it. As I said, we didn't have to stir it. I don't have any complaints. Smells nice. Got a nice clean smell to it, no chemical-y sort of smell. So while we're just painting away here, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the piece that I'm painting, what my plans for it are, because I don't have a shop and I'm not painting it in this instance to kind of make a profit on it or anything like that, but just to show you what's possible. So I may just list it on eBay and just start it at 99p and just see what happens. Obviously we are launching vintup.co.uk, but at the time of painting this, we're not quite there yet, so I won't be able to list it. I've already just listed it on there because it would have been a great sort of testing piece. So Vintup is going to be the best online sales platform available to upcyclers, and it's going to be free to use for buyers and sellers. No commissions, nothing like that. There will be upgrade options which will give you a bit of a better selling experience, but still no commissions. It'll be a small monthly fee that you subscribe to, and you'll get a whole bunch of stuff for your money. And then we'll be really marketing it and spending our time focusing on finding buyers and sending buyers traffic to the site. So it's a win-win for everyone. But we really need to get this out there and promoted as much as possible. So if you can share these videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Upcycle TV, all these kinds of things are really going to help us. And also, if you've got chalk paints or you've got products that you want me to review, I'm really happy to do that. This one is going to be a good start, I think. We've got the first coat on the top of the unit there, and it looks good. You can see where it's dry and you can see the pine coming through. So it is going to take a few coats, but I would expect that with a light grey like this anyway. So that's not a bad thing. It's absolutely fine. And in fact, it's quite fair from for them to send us. I think it's really honest and fair for them to send us a light grey, because they could have sent us a really dark grey or a dark blue, or something, one of the colours that covers in 1 or 2 coats, and it wouldn't be a fair representation. But this is good. I'll be interested to see how the second coat covers actually. Let's go on the side. Normally I would use a chalk paint brush, which is like the fat bulbous one like I was using to put the sugar soap on. To be perfectly honest, I can't find my brushes. So I'm using a flat brush, but it shouldn't make that much difference. What the chalk brushes do is they make the job quicker, because you can get more paint onto the brush, so you can get more paint on a lot quicker. It swings around about, so I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. But yeah, I don't have any brushes, so if anyone's got any brushes they want me to review, send them over and keep me working. That'd be a cool video actually. I can't see there's going to be a massive difference between one chalk paint brush and another, but I'm happy to give it a go and review them. Okay, I've done enough now that I feel like I can give an honest review and opinion of this paint I've used for the first time. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's definitely going to be a paint that I'm going to use for more projects in the future. It's not hard work to put it on. It's nice and light. It covers well. The opacity is really good. I can't really find any flaws. We've painted this unit, as you can see. We've used about £2 worth of paint, £2 to paint this. So you can't knock the price. The price is fabulous. Yeah. So in terms of the paint review here, absolutely highly recommend this paint, Vintage with Grace. Also say that you don't necessarily need to use a wax over this or any kind of protection, and depending on how much use it gets. So something like this piece here, they would say that you wouldn't need any finishing sort of wax or anything. I would agree with that. It feels nice and tough. So yeah, no complaints there. This is paint on, 3 coats, job done. In terms of the unit itself, I actually really like the long legs now. I think it gives it some really cool character. What I'm going to do, based on the look of it now, I can't decide. I'm either going to paint the drawer fronts in a black and then the knobs in the grey, or the other way around and continue this in the grey and then put black knobs on it, just to tie it in a little bit with the legs. But I can't decide which way around to do black drawer fronts. I think I'm going to do black handles in this case. So now I'm just going to paint these drawer fronts grey and then paint the knobs in it with a black chalk paint. I don't have Vintage with Grace black, so I'm not going to do it with that. I'm not going to talk about the paint. I'm just going to paint them black, and I think it's going to be a really cute little, nice little piece. There we go, really pleased with it. Happy with the legs, matching the handles. Glad I went with the grey drawer fronts, I'm pleased with that. I just think it's so cool. I'm really happy. What I am going to do is just a few more finishing touches. I'm going to line the drawers. I'm going to still paint the bottom because I haven't done that yet. I have painted the back. And I'm going to give it a very, very light distress. And the reason why is this is an old pine unit. Although the paint is excellent, it's still paint at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what paint you're going to use on there, you're still seeing the imperfections of the wood underneath. So unless you literally stripped it back to the bare wood, filled it, sanded it, filled it, to me it's just it's not worth it on a piece like this. And you know, you have to take your time into consideration. I like the fact that it's got these little imperfections. You can see these little nails that we used. I think it adds character, and I'm not just using that as an excuse to do poor work. I've, you know, put a lot of effort into it. It's, you know, it's got to look right, but I just feel when you give something a light distress that is a little bit with a bit of character like this, it just works better. And over time, when the wood starts moving about and you get them little splits in there, it just adds to the character of it, and it doesn't look out of place, if that makes sense. So that's my decision for that. I'm going to give it a light distress. I think that will tie it in nicely, and then it will be finished. This is how I distressed my furniture. Tiny little bit of aluminium oxide paper, very subtle distress finish. This is a P80, it's a nice fine grade of aluminium oxide. And I'll just find the edges now. I'll just find little edges. And just take a little bit off, like that. And it's so subtle you probably won't even see it in the video, but I'll do a little close-up so you can see that. It's done. Well, I still have to do the wallpaper to line the drawers, but other than that, this piece is completely finished. I'm very happy with it. Fantastic paint again, and highly recommend Vintage with Grace. Colour was Portobello, which is a nice light grey. 3 coats. It's very hard wearing. Great paint, easy to apply. I'm going to give the paint 10 out of 10. I can't fault it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you don't want to miss any of our content, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you get all the notifications. You can also follow us on Twitter at Upcycle TV. And we have a website where you can buy and sell furniture. It's completely free to use. upcycledirectory.co.uk.